Ladies and gentlemen, I have a question for you. We all know the isekai genre is basically a little overblown, but one of the best ones so far that's actually really good and that comes to mind, of course, tickles that freedom that we all know and love, is of course Gate. While Gate, of course, is basically, to many on the surface, is your basic harem isekai, in my mind it's untapped potential, where modern Japanese, or at least modern military, against medieval forces. However, someone else actually thought of this, and said, hey, what would happen if the entire country of Japan was transferred to another world? That's where we get Japan summons. However, someone else said, let's take it one step further, because if you look at the comments section of any of the chapters of course, be it Gate or otherwise, they always bring up the fact, what if America was transferred to another world? What if America got involved in the isekai genre? Well, ladies and gentlemen, the author Ron, the Black Cat, I may have said his name wrong, actually thought of this, and made a online novel that, my god, if made into a comic book, would be amazing! Or hell, even adapted into a manga would be amazing. Hell, any sort of medium, a visual medium for this, even a radio play would be amazing. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you America in Another World. Oh yeah! Now, what is America in Another World? America in Another World is a beautiful, beautiful wet dream that I absolutely love, but actually takes it in a more realistic, more serious sense. Because in terms of which America, it's not the America of the height of the Vietnam War, as many people would actually say, because of course we'd be dropping napalm left and right. It ain't America during World War II, because if that was the case, we'd be basically bombing the hell out of people left and right. No, 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 no. It is America after the Iraq War. It is America in the 20-teens. Not in the 2020s, in the 20-teens, meaning this is America in 2019. And while we don't, of course, have our El Presidente Trumpe, well, it is still a president who honestly loves his sleep and doesn't take shit from nobody. Although I would have loved if it was a Reagan type, in my opinion. But anyway, going forward, yes, there are going to be spoilers, but I'm going to be treating this like a history lesson. So, here we go. So how does the book start off? The book starts off with the fact of satellite images don't match up. It literally starts with the president asleep, trying to enjoy his sleep. He gets a call, basically gets called up saying, Mr. President, it's urgent, we need you in the situation room. He hangs up the phone, goes back to sleep saying, 15 more minutes. It isn't until he comes back to the situation room to find out, America's been transported to another world, along with all of its assets and its bases, basically put back in the United States, and all foreigners who are non-Americans completely out. And I gotta say, that's actually kind of cool. Oh, I did forget to mention that the opening thing of the actual manga, or not the manga, my bad. I keep thinking Japan Summon. I'm sorry, folks. The actual opening of the book starts off with some unknown voice looking at different worlds, trying to figure out what they're going to get. And I absolutely fucking love it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is where it gets a little better, because the first actual thing that anyone would do would be exploration and understanding what's going on. The region above the United States, which of course would be considered Canada, is no longer there, but the bases are there, or at least the bases that were in Germany. At which point we follow soldiers trying to figure out what is going on. Even the president makes an address saying, hey, this is what happened, we're basically in another world. But what I gotta love is that it's not just this. Oh no. Because the first thing they encounter in the New World are fucking pterodactyls!
Excuse me, what?
Okay, not pterodactyls, but something of that nature. They encounter big birds, which could be sort of like a pterodactyl. The way I see it is I relate it to a thunderbird, for anyone who understands Native American lore or Native American mythology. And then one unlucky trooper sadly gets eaten.
Oh my god! They killed Kenny! You bastard!
I'm sorry, has anyone not remembered Jurassic Park or even The Lost World? When you see a giant bird the size of a pterodactyl, I think the first inclination I think anyone should immediately think of would be the scene from Jurassic Park where the dude gets eaten. Yeah, I'm sorry, if I saw a giant bird, the first thing I would be doing is not stand there awestruck and gawking at this huge thing. My first inclination is immediately finger on the trigger ready to shoot the thing, or at least fire up a warning shot at it and try and scare it away. Which, that doesn't happen. No, the dude gets eaten, like that dude from Jurassic Park. Again, I still love that scene. I will use that clip lots. I really will. Anyway, but the beautiful thing about this is that, of course, America, they prepared for this. Because they go out there with some LAVs, they go out there with some Bradleys, they go out there and they just start raising hell against these things. And they start lighting up the skies with tracer rounds and rockets. Yeah, my freedom boner is basically like half-mast at the moment right now with this, but it's gonna get, but yours is gonna get full-mast. I can assure you, it's great, it's gonna get better, folks! Now, it doesn't just stop there. We go off to the southern continents, where we find out this world is pretty big. This new world does have civilizations. However, some of the civilizations discovered so far are in 3 different centuries. One continent is essentially pre-World War I, with steamships, things like that. There's a mass strip of land, which is essentially no man's land, with trenches, much like World War I. The other continent, which has massive coastal guns, is about the height of World War I technology. So they have, so from that, because me being a gun guy, I can immediately assume, okay, so they have bolt-action rifles, they have Maxim machine guns, and their tanks probably aren't that good, which we'll get into in a minute. And then the last one is castles, be it like 17th century Europe, meaning they essentially have muskets and flintlocks, things like that. Think Revolutionary War, essentially, in terms of the technology they have. And the next big thing for America is to try and establish diplomatic relations and contact with these people. Well, they ain't the only ones, my friend, because the one continent, which is actually to the left, the west side of Florida, is the, well, Imperium. Yes, I know they have a full name, but I'm just going to call them, I'm going to try and shorten it down, because if I tried saying the full name of these guys, it would not do well. I would stumble on the words, basically. I really do wish the author would actually have a little thing of how to pronounce these people. Either way, though, the Imperium understands that something's going on with, of course, the northern lands, which to America is called the Northern Frontier. They call it the Northern Frontier. I like that. I actually do like that. I mean, anything that you can identify, just call it a frontier. I mean, Alaska is still considered a frontier, so... Which actually does raise a question. Was Alaska transport also? That's my question. Was Alaska transport also along with Hawaii, since both of those are technically American states? Just asking the offer at the moment. Just kind of curious. Either way, though. Moving on. So, essentially, the Imperium sends out a small fleet of steamboats. Yeah, steamboats. They start getting closer. They're detected off the coast of the United States, and they come across an aircraft carrier. Because of course they would. At which point, the captain of that ship, of the American ship, is basically told, try and establish diplomatic relations. We don't want to start a war. We want to know what the hell this world is, what is going on. At which point they send out a rib. For those of you who don't know what a rib is, think an inflatable boat, essentially. Battlefield 4. Think the boats in Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3, which you can basically go around, has the minigun on the front, and you basically, you know, able to do that. You get what I'm saying. Anyway, though. Basically a little speedboat in Battlefield 3 and 4. Moving on. At which point the two captains, or at least what would be the lieutenant, of course the lieutenant, why wouldn't it be a lieutenant? Where the hell's the smedge? Where's the sergeant major? Where's the smedge? To anyone who gets that, you know who you are. Either way, though. So, they make contact with these steamboats, and immediately there is a language barrier. But the cool thing is that the author actually didn't try to make up their own language. No, they decided we'll be more sensible. Since this is a European continent, or at least the way they're designed is somewhat of a European continent, it would make sense that it'd be some form of French, or even, if they wanted to, Anglo-Saxon. But instead they went with the Latin route. Which does make sense. In our world, the most advanced civilization at the time was Latin, was either the Greek continents or even the Roman continents. Essentially Italy, which is a form of Latin. So it would make sense that Latin would be a type of advanced language, which to them, Latin is known as common. I gotta love the D&D reference, I really do. Just, it's like a common language, essentially. Instead of doing the whole thing like in, of course, Japan Summon, or at least any other isekai novel, any other isekai what have you, instead of it being seen as a, well, it's a type of its own language, instead of the protagonist basically being able to understand the language right away, and in their mind, they're speaking Japanese, and the other people's receiving in mind, they're speaking their language, they're speaking common. It's definitely a good way to basically understand it. And what I gotta love is the author actually outlined the Latin in orange and other languages in green. I love it. I really do. Good on you, author. Now understand now, we're basically 3-4 chapters in already, I've just explained, so yeah, if you want to read this yourself, down below is the link to the actual online book itself, and I recommend you read it because it is a great, beautiful novel. It's a beautiful story. I love it. But I know a lot of you are probably wondering, when are we going to get the freedom? When are we getting to the freedom bringing? When we get into the front democracy? Hold your horses. We're getting there, my dude. We're getting there. Anyway, the captain of the steamboats, and of course of the Imperium, immediately makes contact with the Americans. Since there's a language barrier, they decide to go with, of course, a type of sign language, motioning that that ship is with them, and him motioning that the ship is with them, and even pointing to the flags, or at least attempting to. Basically, in my mind, I pictured the scene of them trying to motion, or at least hand sign in a way, what they do. But thankfully enough, they do motion that the captain in this ship follow that ship to what he pointed, my guess, is to the mainland, which would be Florida, or at least the Florida Keys. At which point they do follow. Then they finally get a translator. Thank God. A diplomat is there. Diplomat Underwood. Which I swear to God is a House of Card reference. I really hope that's a House of Card reference because, yeah. Anywho. So they do have a Latin translator. Translating, of course, between the Imperium and the United States. Saying that the United States was transported to another world, they're exchanging information, and we find out exactly what is going on. We have the Bim Kingdom, which is still in the 17th century. We then have the Mach, M-A-C-H, Mach, whichever one. Basically, we're going to call him Mach. Matcha. Either way, though. Mach. The Mach Kingdom and, of course, the Imperium have been at war with each other because the Mach does not like magic. They don't believe in magic, things like that. While the Imperium believes in magic and likes the incorporation of magic and trying using it into advancing technology. Which is something I think a lot of people don't understand, is that magic can actually be used to advance technology. Be it in engineering, be it in infrastructure, or even other elements of the world. Hell, if you actually read Release That Witch, be it the web novel or even the online comic, you can see that that protagonist of that actually uses witches to help with infrastructure, designing new medicines, fighting diseases, weapons development. Magic can be used to help advance a civilization, and that's what the Imperium does. They use magic to help advance civilization and technology. However, their technology is still pre-World War I. Think Spanish-American War. Technology, essentially. Now, moving on. The Mach and the Imperium are basically in a stalemate, and I kind of love this. The Imperium tries to convey to the United States that they should have a military pact with them, that they would offer the United States protection.
You serious?
And of course, they even try to stress that the Mach have tanks, which you have pictures of, which of course is the Renault F1. I may have butchered that, but the World War I tank that the French designed. Which I laugh again! And of course they tried to stress that they have a new tank too, which is basically a land ship, the Mark IV tank. And they even try to stress they have machine guns! Okay. We'll get to that. We'll get there, I promise. We'll get there, okay? We'll get there. Anyway, moving on. So so they do get an ambassador there. They basically start talking all that good jazz. And while the United States is not for a military pact, they more are happy to sign a non-aggression pact, a treaty. And while yes, the emperor of the imperium is not exactly happy with the fact that they aren't accepting their help, they are more at least happy to do a non-aggression pact and even do trade and of course economic, while at the same time exchanging information. The Mach, on the other hand, find out about this new thing, and they send out a fleet. And the Emperor of the Mach, think the Mad King of Britain, King George the Fourth, I think, or basically the guy who was leading England during the Revolutionary War period of the United States history, of our history at least. And I can assure you it ain't that great, because he's going basically bonkers trying to basically have the United States the vassal state. Okay. Moving on, because, oh, the things I'm gonna spoil, I'm gonna tell you that happen. Oh, it's so good. Either way, though. Moving on. What I gotta love about this is that, of course, the United States is not one to bow down or be brought into a war. Because, once again, when the military pact came up, the United States didn't want to get dragged into a war because Iraq is still very much so still fresh in our mindset. Even though all of our embassies, all of our forces, everything have been brought within the United States borders. Which I'm still curious if Alaska and Hawaii is technically there as well. I'm a little curious. I really am. I really want to know. Either way, though. So the fleet, the Mach fleet, before the Mach fleet even arrived, the Imperium does get a temporary embassy. They're even given provisions, everything like that. But when the Mach fleet come in, the ambassador immediately tells them that they have to immediately sign, that they have to. He is imploring the United States, which he thinks is about the size of Florida, or at least it's still a small island, and he believes they're still underdeveloped. Even though he's seeing basically flat screen TVs, advanced cars, electricity, wireless cell phones, things like that. You know, everything should be clicking in his mind, but, whatever. You know, just keep thinking we're a barbaric state. Okay. Moving on. At which point in time, the Mach fleet immediately come within the waters. However, a patrol plane from the United States announces, in Latin of course, to immediately halt, and we will accept a diplomat. Please send a single ship forward with the diplomat. Now, I should immediately mention that the fleet that is sent to the United States is basically World War I fleet. So dreadnoughts, battleships, some steam-powered destroyers. Basically all steam-powered, not really oil or any sort of driven... Yeah, whatever. Anyway, moving on. So the ambassador, or at least the diplomat that's sent from the Mach is, of course, as well as the BIM. I forgot to mention the BIM have sailboats. So, yeah, whatever. Anyway, though. They come to the United States, they greet them, the news press is there, and let's just say that... the terms for the United States. Yeah, this is not how you make friends with the United States, because he immediately, the ambassador of the Mach immediately says that the United States will become a vassal state and will immediately be giving tribute.
Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
And that if the United States does not do so, then that they will be destroyed.
Bullshit! Bullshit!
When the ambassador Underwood, when Representative Underwood, of course, says that we will happily decline, but we are more open to negotiations to a peaceful non-aggression pact treaty, the representative from the Mach immediately loses his fucking mind and tells him that this is a declaration of war, that the Mach declare war on the United States.
Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. You have fucked up now.
Now, you're probably wondering what's the president's reaction to all this. Well, let's just say that, not good. It's not good. Not good, because his words, and I quote, "The United States will not be threatened, nor will they treat the American people like this. We will never be a vassal state." I may have put a few words in there, but that's basically what it's saying. The United States a vassal state. Fuck you. Fuck you. We will never bow down to tyranny. Ever. Anywho. So, what happens next, you may ask? The biggest dick-slapping basic combat of American freedom and full frontal democracy. Because we send in a couple torpedoes, we send in some anti-ship missiles, we basically sink the entire fleet that keeps fighting back. And, some of them do surrender. And, yeah. Let's just say that the king of the Mach ain't exactly happy. Because the king immediately thinks that all this is fake. Fake news. Because there's no way the Mach fleet could be the greatest navy in the entire world could go down. There's no way they could take us down. We have the best ships. We have the best men. We have the best sailors. Obviously, the sailors in that fleet, they allowed it to happen. Okay, buddy. Okay, yeah, no, you keep thinking your delusions like that. America's over here kicking your ass in the sea, so, let's see how that goes. Either way, though. So, full war swing. We're now in full conflict, and of course, a new world command is set up, and a actual general who's had combat experience in Iraq is appointed as the commander-in-chief of the New World Central Command. Now, as I was reading this, I was thinking, you know what, maybe this would be kind of a cool thing if, I don't know, maybe they ally with the Imperium, or at least have, you know, a type of trade agreement with the Imperium, maybe give them some guns, you know, things like that, but, you know what, it's whatever, we'll see how it goes. I was reading this and I was thinking, you know, let's see how this goes. Either way, though. So, what's the first thing this admiral does, this general does? He prepares the Marines! And he prepares a strike force. And by God, the dick slapping continues. Because next, the Mach basically prepares the huge fleet. They prepare a large fleet, the biggest they've ever done, and it sunk. Yeah, it sunk. I'm sorry, you're literally bringing a knife to a gun. Not even a knife! You're bringing a club to a gunfight. You're bringing a .22 when you should be bringing a .44 Magnum. You're not even understanding the gravity of the situation and the firepower and advanced technology that the United States has at its disposal. If we wanted to right now, in this situation, if the president wanted to, he could very well order a nuke strike on you. But we're not going that far yet. Not even a nuke strike. He could very well order a Moab strike on you. But he's not, because civilian casualties. While the military of the Mach is basically doing this, we're not going overboard yet. Yet, mind you. I would not be surprised if a Moab strike was cleared one day and we showed them the true firepower of the United States. I'm just saying, you know, a Moab, mother of all bombs. Yeah, no, that's definitely going to teach any son of a bitch to basically not fuck with the United States. But I'm digressing. So, that fleet's taken out, and all aerial patrols are getting destroyed because, of course, they're coming at us with biplanes. We got F-16s, we got F-22 Raptors, we got F-15s, we got Eagles, we got all the planes. And the United States Air Force is basically having a ball, I bet you, fucking Air Force actually being able to do something for once in your life. Moving on. So, what's the plan for the invasion of the Mach? And BIM? Well, we're going to attack BIM first and basically occupy it. This type of thing, you may ask? Missile strikes. Yeah, missile strikes. We send in some ship-to-land missiles. You know, we send in the missiles. We send in some missile strikes. We start bombing the hell out of these guys, like we did Syria. And then we send in the Marines! And the Marines are kind of disappointed. I can understand it. I mean, let's face it, you're going against the BIM Empire, the BIM Kingdom, which is essentially 17th century weaponry, muskets, 13-pounders, 20-pounders, maybe even 30-pound cannons, which is basically a bigger muzzleloader. I understand your disappointment, but the best part is, they're trying their best. They're trying their best to hold their ground, and my God, I feel so sorry for these guys. I really do, because they don't like the Mach. They don't like them because they're treating the BIM like shit. They haven't really given them anything. They're giving them scraps when they're over here having a feast. But the United States does what the United States does best, and they send in the Marines, they do a beach landing, they send in the Freebrams, and they get fired upon by muskets. Not joking. I'm not joking. They get fired upon by muskets and cannons and do diddly dick to the paint. The most they'll do is probably scratch the paint. That's it. That's honest to God it. But the Freebrams load up some shotgun canisters. I know they're called something else, but I always see them as massive shotgun shells of freedom. And they blast them to freedom.
Swallow this.
They blast their souls free of their bodies with the canister shells. And then they use some coaxial 7.62 freedom, send some 7.62 freedom seeds from their coaxial machine guns, and they basically light them up. And in one day, the BIM Kingdom's now under the control of the United States of America. And pulling, of course, a playbook from Vietnam and the Pacific Theater, we start setting up a temporary airfield in the BIM Kingdom. At which point, we begin the second phase of the operation. Bombing the hell out of these guys!
Yeehaw! Ride 'em, Bulldog! USA! USA! USA!
And yes, when I mean bomb the hell out of them, I mean we start doing an Operation Rolling Thunder. We bomb them in submission, and then we send in the Marines and the Army. Okay, before I continue, being an Army brat, I'm a little sad that the Army didn't really get its time to shine, but I get it. You know, we gotta send the Marines, we gotta let the Marines at least have their fun. But where's the ground pounders? Come on! United States Army. Hello? We're ground pounders too. We got the best cannon. We got the best artillery crews. We got the best engineers. Come on, Arthur. Come on, Ron. Ron, come on. Show the Army some love. Don't let the Marine and the Navy and the Air Force have all the let them hog up all that. Come on, show the Army some love. Where's my Army love? Come on, come on, come on, Ron. Come on. Moving on. So of course the Freebrams are sitting there, and in the Mach Kingdom they're in a panic. They didn't literally. The fact that they underestimated the United States is an underestimate at the most. Like, my God, understatement of the century. You underestimated the United States because we're coming in with just 4 tanks at the moment. You're a dumbass. Like, seriously, dumbass. Moving on. So the United States comes up to the Mach Kingdom, and oh yeah, I forgot to mention the Imperium. What's the Imperium doing in all this? They want to attack. They want to attack on the Eastern Front. But, unlike most, the military command is basically telling the Emperor of the Imperium that we need to wait. Which is not a bad idea. The Mach still have a large number of troops on their stalemate DMZ, essentially. If they want to do an attack, they have to do it successfully. They need to wait for the right opportunity, the right moment, to be able to send in troops to actually take back the land they lost 35 years ago during their 4th war. That's a whole thing in of itself. I'm not going to go into that. I'm just trying to give you a basic pinpoint web notes, essentially. Moving on. So, back on the American Mach front, on the Western Front. What do we consider Western Front or Eastern Front? Whatever. Anyway, back on the Western or Eastern Front, whichever one. Moving on. The Abrams teams, of course, and the Americans have already set up shop. They're already locking it down. They're already doing what America does best, and they are helping with infrastructure, talking with the local government, bringing in freedom and democracy to the BIM Kingdom. And then the Mach are thinking, you know what, maybe we should do static trenches. We need to send out air patrols of biplanes to try and take down American planes.
You're working with a professional here! Nice fucking model!
Oh my God, I cannot say it with a straight face. I really can. they are basically handling this like the French during World War One, where, or really any of the nations during the First World War, where it's dig the trenches, stay in one position, and basically face the enemy as what is. Yeah, no, I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that's going to work. Reason I say that is because, here's the thing. You're coming at America with World War I tactics, when the United States, when it entered into World War I, we went in with the Devil Dogs. We went in with the 82nd All-American Battalion. We were kicking ass and taking names. We weren't holding the ground. We were pushing, kicking Germans back as fast as we could. You really think we're going to stay in one place? Especially with a bunch of Marines, some Devil Dogs who are just chomping at the bit to kick some ass and take names? I don't think so. So here's what happens. We immediately start pushing into the Mach Empire. Or the Mach, essentially. We start going into these guys. And by God, it's fun. It's just... oh, so good!
Are advancing constantly, and we're not interested in holding on to anything except the enemy. We're going to hold on to him by the nose, and we're going to kick him in the ass. We're going to kick the hell out of him all the time, and we're going to go through him like crap through a goose.
Because we come in with the Freebrams. Well, not really the Freebrams, my bad. I'm going ahead of myself. What happens? Well, we soften up their air force by literally hitting them with Sidewinders, Heat Seekers, and homing missiles. Because even though they're trying to come at us with these biplanes, with 2 Maxim machine guns, which the biplanes I picture in my head are like the 3-wing biplanes from World War I, like the German, you know, the Red Baron plane, that sort of thing. That's what I picture them coming at us with. And they get shot down. Because, I'm sorry, you're going up against jets. And while, yes, many people will probably bring up the fact of, well, during the Vietnam War, a helicopter took down an airplane took down a MiG. Yes, this is true. But these ain't F-4 Phantoms. These ain't MiGs. These are F-15, F-16s, F-22 Raptors, Seahawks. These are modern aircraft that the United States has made, and by God, we're going to use it to bring the freedom. And bring the freedom we do. We take down literally half of the enemy of the Mach Kingdom's Air Corps. Yes, Air Corps, not the Army Air Corps, although. Either way, though. We take down their Air Corps, we start kicking butt, we start taking names in the skies, the aces are being made in the United States Air Force, and by God, I still love it. We haven't even gotten to the land invasion yet. And while they're doing this, what happens? We send in the B-52s. Oh yes. We start Operation Rolling Thunder, Part 2 Boogaloo.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag, ooh, they're red, white, and blue. And when the band plays, hey!
Or Part 2 Electric Boogaloo. And we start bombing the hell out of these guys. We start bombing the hell out of the trenches. We start bombing the hell out of their anti-air positions. We start bombing the hell out of their artillery positions. We just level the playing field. Although I am a little sad there's no napalm. A little sad. Oh, well. There's probably napalm use in the future, I hope. I hope. Anywho, we start dropping bombs on these sons of bitches, and we basically start literally destroying their lines. And then we send in the Freebrams. And 10 tanks against 4? Okay. You're literally coming at us with World War I tanks. We got Freebrams. I'm sorry, we're freeing the shit out of you. Farewell! And what I gotta love is that they're literally pushing inland. They're not holding their ground. Hell, even some of the soldiers from the Mach basically go AWOL. They desert. They understand the situation there, and they are fucked. And they just desert. They didn't sign up for this. This isn't a war. This is slaughter.
All right, I gotta leave, okay?
John, we just started. Come on, man.
Listen, there's a lot to see in this life. Not wasting it here.
They just abandon their positions. They basically, what I can imagine, them taking off their uniform, not really wanting to be dressed up as a soldier. They just want to get the hell out. They want to go home. I say go ahead. You deserve it. Get the hell out. Your king's a madman. Just get the hell out. But then comes the Battle of the Plains, and Oh my god, Ron, my dude, you missed an opportunity here. You could have pulled an Operation Iraqi Freedom, where there were Abram tanks coming up over the brim of the sand dunes, blasting Ride of the Valkyries. But at least you saw something from that old tank documentary where literally one of the tank aces of the Gulf War literally was facing up against a T-70 tank, or at least the Iraqi tanks. And when his tank gunner, when they literally went past some tanks, one of the tank gunners actually asked him, "Sir, do you want me to shoot?" The guy literally looked down and said, "For God's sakes, yes, shoot!"
Looking at the damn tank that we're about to take under fire, and the gunner hesitated. "Sir, can I shoot? Can I fire?" I said, "For God's sake, shoot!"
Shoot the son of a bitch! Literally, they say it. One of the tank crews actually says this, and oh my god, yes! And what I gotta love is that these are literally World War I Mark IV tanks and even F-1 tanks fighting up against M1A1 Abrams. And they're literally getting wiped out left and right, and I love it! Oh my god, I shouldn't be enjoying this, but I am! Basically, they lost. America comes in, wipes them out. They're going straight to the capital. One way straight to the capital of this sons of bitches. And the king is literally losing his mind, because the king is now in a secure bunker somewhere, doing an Adolf Hitler, essentially, and is telling them, "I don't care if we have to pull troops off of this line, get them over here to stop the Americans." I'm like, you really need to realize now that you've lost, Your Highness. You've lost. Just stop right now, and for the love of God, consider basically suing for peace. Oh, wait, I forgot, you're basically an Adolf Hitler type. Fuck off. Okay, let's go. Well, not really an Adolf Hitler type, I think more of a Kaiser type, or, you know what, you guys, once you've read the book, let me know, or at least read the chapters that are released so far, let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the king. Either way, though, the final defense line comes up on the outskirts of the capital, and people who did not evacuate the capital are still there. They're still civilians. And what you see as a defense line for your city, we see as an open target. We see as free real estate. And instead of going in with tanks, nah, son, nah. We call in freedom from the sky. Because the skies are going brrrr. That's right, they start bombing the hell out of them with A-10 Warthogs. And oh my god, the sound of an A-10 Warthog killing sons of bitches, basically destroying tanks. Ah! It's so good. I love the smell of freedom in the morning. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to part 3. Yes, the final installment of this 3-part review video of the America Another World online novel, which if you haven't read yet, link down below. Seriously, go read it. But oh boy, where'd we last left off? Oh yeah, the Mach Imperium, yes, Mach Imperium, was getting their asses curb stomped by some 8-in warthogs. What a disappointment, we didn't get Warlord. And for those of you who don't know who Warlord is, Call of Duty Modern Warfare with the AC-130 gunship of freedom and democracy. And oh boy, folks, it only gets better from here. So, last we left off, the Mach Imperium's defenses were basically kaput. Rubbish. Absolutely curb-stomped into oblivion.
Of course!
And as this is happening, well, you remember the MAG, the other Imperium? While, yes, a lot of people were trying to help me try and understand how to pronounce the name, I'm just going to call him MAG. Because Magus, I'm just going to call him Mag, just to keep me from stumbling on my words. Mag over here realizes that half of the forces were called off their front to try and fight off America. Which, if you ask me, is kind of similar to what Nazi Germany did when they pulled off soldiers, battle-hardened combat veterans from the Eastern Front to fight off the Allied forces. Which, back then was stupid, here, definitely stupid, and absolutely worthless. And not gonna help whatso-fucking-ever! Because I'm sorry, folks, no matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you fight, you will be defeated. Because as stated before in part 2, this isn't a war against the Mach Imperium and the Americans, just as it isn't a war between man and ants. Gotta love War of the Worlds. No. This is wholesale freedom slaughter! I know I shouldn't be enjoying it, but by God, I'm enjoying it! So, how's the king doing in all this? Well, the king is a little bit upset because the capital is going to fall. And the forces that are to help relieve the capital, i.e. Berlin, in this situation, aren't going to make it in time. They have to hold, the defenders of the city have to hold out long enough for reinforcements to arrive, which is going to take about a couple of days. While the Americans are there within hours. And by God, the man loses his fucking mind when the Mag Imperium decide to basically attack. Because before, they held off the attacks because there was still a lot of forces right there in front of them. And doing an attack would be fruitless and worthless. As one of the great Eastern philosophers said, a bull is most useful when it is empty. And in this case, they waited for the right opportunity for a counterattack. And they did! They send in their magically infused forces. They send in magically infused tanks where their engines perform on the amount of mana one can dispense. So roll a d20 for Constitution. Nerd! You thought I wasn't going to go the whole series without doing some D&D reference? Yeah, no, you're out of your goddamn mind. Either way, though, how does the king respond to now having a war on 2 fronts? I think this clip says it all.
Die gesamte Generalität ist nichts weiter als ein Haufen niederträchtiger, treuloser Feiglinge!
Mein Führer, ich kann nicht zulassen, dass die Soldaten, die für Sie verbringen...
Nicht als Feiglinge!
Yeah, he basically goes full-on Adolf Hitler. He literally goes Mad King. He literally loses his goddamn mind because, of course, the Americans are curb-stomping him. The maggots are curb-stomping him. He is literally going in the fall of Berlin route of essentially fight for everything. Everyone has to fight. We have to do something to stop the Americans. We have to do something to stop the Eastern Front from coming on us. We gotta do something. And the military officers in this bunker, essentially, they aren't having it. They actually have common sense and understand that the war is over. They've lost. There is no way to stop the American forces. And the only thing they can do now is what Operation Valkyrie tried to do. And for those of you who do not know what Operation Valkyrie is, Operation Valkyrie during World War II was the German army, the Wehrmacht, wanted to take control of the German government, i.e. assassinate Adolf Hitler and essentially take control and sue for peace with the Allies, in hopes that they can get favorable, well, yeah, you get what I'm trying to say. Except, where that plan failed, this one works. Because the officers, or at least the generals in that bunker, take the king hostage, put a gun to his fucking head, and essentially says,
Look at me.
Sure.
Look at me.
Sure.
I'm the captain now.
oh yeah, they essentially do that. And send a ceasefire to all units. And by that point in time, the Americans just came in, does what America does best. They came in, they kicked ass, and now they're going to rebuild. They're going to make the nation better, stronger, and insert a democratic republic. Okay, no, not really. They're going to install a puppet government, yes, but they're going to try and find a relative of the king who is still alive. And ironically enough, that relative happens to be an old woman who just wants to live in peace. I say all for her. If you don't want to deal with this crazy shit, I fully understand. I mean, have you guys ever wondered the kind of pressure and stress one goes under as a ruler, even a leader? I mean, hell, I wouldn't be surprised if anyone fucking cracked under all that pressure. But for this old woman, she's basically being asked, hey, we would like you to lead your country in a better and brighter future with America backing you up. Which I say is a better damn deal. Of course, the Magus is, or at least the Mag, are wanting the land that was taken from them 35 years ago in the Fourth War. America is more than happy to basically do the concession. However, the Mach, not so much. The Mach don't want to give up that land. However, they don't really have a goddamn choice, because America gives them this resolution. An offer they can't refuse. And let's just say that if they really wanted to, really wanted to try and fight back, it'd be pointless. Because let's face it, you have no army, you have no leadership, your king is absolutely goddamn insane in the membrane, and you have lost the war, good sir. So just sit down, be quiet, and worship me as your fucking god. Is essentially what it is with the Americans. Because even though the Americans are being nice to them and they're helping rebuild infrastructure, well, you can only take our kindness so far before you piss us the hell off. The Mach, of course, are more than happy to accept the land back. And from there, America sets up military bases in the Mach territory as well as BIM. People are actually happy to have the Americans under as their occupying force. And even basically told them, look, we're not going to stay here forever. We'll have troops on your soil, yes, but we're here as a deterrent, a protection. We're here to help you rebuild infrastructure and help you have better lives. The American way of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Hoorah!
We're the peacekeepers around these parts.
What? You mean the world?
Goddamn right. Go get your own press country.
And yeah. Peace comes over the land as war-torn lands now rebuild. Cities that were once nothing but rubble are being constructed anew. Railroads are being rebuilt, power stations are being built, and people are given now nice, fruitful lives. And a time of peace has come. And you know what? I think that's how a story should end, or at least how one chapter should end. Anyway, this has been a great story. And I can't wait to start another review. So, till what's that smell? Smells like Nazis!
Stop. My penis can only get so erect.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You thought the story was over? Hell no, it ain't! Because out in the ocean arises a city like Atlantis from the depths of the ocean. And come the elves. Elves dressed in Wehrmacht uniforms, driving magical infused panzers, tigers, King Panthers! And of course, ME-262s and Hortons! And even Bismarcks! Ladies and gentlemen, a new opponent has entered the chat! And you think it's gonna be bad? Oh no, they ain't here in peace! They're here to have a 1,000-year Reich! In the glorious words of the Major from Helsing Ultimate Abridged.
Gentlemen, we are Nazis.
Sieg Heil! Sieg Heil!
Und we will have war.
Sieg Heil!
Think that the Nazis are gonna be able to the Americans are over here in the Match, Imperium, and BIM helping rebuild. And here we go! Fucking Nazi elves! And here's the Magus Imperium, Nazi Germany, France, and/or Belgium, whichever one you want to go for. And guess what? Blitzkrieg! That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Blitzkrieg. The Nazi elves basically start bulldozing their way, committing war crimes left and right, running over women and children with tanks, putting people into buildings, setting them on fire, and then shooting into them, killing civilians indiscriminately. And the Magus Imperium, like France during World War II, is on the run, a fighting retreat.
Cold-blooded? Nothing cold-blooded about me. I get quite worked up.
And oh my god, my blood is already boiling! And you can bet what's going to happen when the Americans get a sniff of Nazis.
We're going to be doing one thing, and one thing only. Killing Nazis. Sound good?
Yes, sir!
Oh yeah, boys! Oh yeah! Oh, I can feel it! I can feel the freedom coming, boys! It's time to kill some Nazis! Come on, you sons of bitches! You will live forever! Ah! Oh wait, I forgot the final verdict and my final thoughts on this. Hold on. In terms of the story as a whole, yeah, no, this story is fucking amazing. If you haven't seen how happy I've been and only given my little nitpicks on the fact that the Army hasn't gotten much love, the fact that America hasn't shown off its full might, and when I mean full might, I'm talking Moabs, napalm, goddamn nukes! Which, in the book, they did say that they won't be following the Geneva Convention, but they won't be doing nukes because of, you know, dangerous to the land, polluting, what have you, all that good jazz. But what I will say is this. I cannot wait to see a Moab, because these Nazi sons of bitches have no idea that they have awakened a sleeping giant of freedom. Also, we haven't seen the other races either. We haven't even seen the other continents yet. And I am really looking forward to that. And, as a final verdict, I say that this book is, well, this web novel is a must-read. To anyone who loves the isekai genre but want to see what happens if America gets transported to another world, I fully recommend you read this. And support Ron. He has a Patreon, so if you got $1, donate to that. The guy is really good at what he does, and from talking with the author himself, I actually am surprised that he's in college. His profile still says that he's a high schooler. Ron, I'd recommend you change that. But what I will say is this. I'm looking forward to the next chapter, and you can bet your top dollar I'll review that and give you my thoughts on it. And to those of you who have already read the book itself in its full entirety during this 3-part series, let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the book, and I'll be honest, Ron, if you ever want to turn this into a radio play, or even a comic, or even anything of that nature, you have my full support, and I will happily provide you with the voice of an all-American son of a bitch, bringing freedom and democracy. Now, if you excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I got some Nazi elves to kill. As always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Airsoft Al, the Godman's Airsofter, who reviews all sorts of media because I have an interest in media. And if you like what I do, consider liking, commenting, subscribing, and all that good jazz. And if you have $1, go support Ron. And if you want to help support our channel and our content also, then consider donating to the PayPal down below. As always, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you bunch of devil dogs on the front lines! Charge!